Welcome back to English Speedrun Restreams and our English restream of RTA in Japan Winter 2025. Coming up next is Touhou Koumakyou The Embodiment of Scarlet Devil Lunatic Score Attack. And for this game, we do have a commentator if you want to introduce yourself and the run.
Hello, I'm Pigeon. I was out for hosting earlier and I'm there to commentate the EOSD scoring. I've only played the game to normal and hard, but I've seen many scoring runs and practices from various players on the western and the eastern side. I've done a bit of research. Last time I was able to get a few commentators from tournaments to report with the Imperial Shovel Knight scoring run. This time I will be alone. I can make the goal a little late, but the mechanics are a little bit simpler overall for the scoring, and there's many differences compared to the to what we had last summer. So Gobo is the current world record holder at 800 million and the only player to have reached the threshold of 800 million. But previously we actually had a Western player, Koumakyou, who also had the world record back in 2023, a couple months before Gobo's new record. So there's a lot of activity both on the eastern side, western side when it comes to scoring in the game, mostly on the Lunatic and the Reimu B shot. So Embodiment of Scarlet is the first game released on the Windows system after the last game being released on the PC98 side. So there are a bit of boundaries and a couple of things that are relevant to the PC98 that are back in this game before gradually switching to a more modern side of the on the more Windows modern side. So Gobo will be using the Reimu B shot, which is a more front-forward attack-based shot. And he will be also using a little bit of a simpler strategy. So there are no gimmicks that are expanded throughout all the stages. They are more single stage based gimmick this time, which is mostly consisting of grazing as much as possible, but also resource management that will be most likely have to be calculated as time goes on and resources being used or not. So for this, Gobo will be trying to do as much grazing as possible on the first stage, trying to keep his resources at least up to stage 3, where bombs will begin to be used to manage to get some more score. Gobo also won the last scoring match tournament, I believe, of this summer, and yeah, he's been practicing quite a lot ever since, trying to improve some more. And due to the estimate that we have, there will most likely not be any resets. Perhaps maybe one stage run if there's like an early death. I doubt this would happen, but sometimes because of the kind of risky strategies that are taken early on, it's possible there could be one reset, but that's all.
3、2、1、スタート。グッドラックです。はい、ステージ1ということで、まずはこのゲームの。
Right, so for the first stage, we try to get as close as possible to the enemies, trying to graze the bullets. We are also trying to collect as many items as possible, because in the PC98 games, you do not gain any items automatically above the correct border, which is about 3/4 way over top. So automatically you get 128 power at max power. You will have to collect everything single-handedly. Boss players also have a tiny hitbox that is present, but thankfully we are getting rid of those pretty easily earlier. We're also doing a bit of spawn grazing there, as there is a bit of space in the spawns where it is possible to get a lot of graze. So how does scoring works in this is that whenever bullets are cancelled by the end of a spell card or by using a bomb, you will gain some bombs according to the number of grays that you have collected so far within the stage, and fix a number of points that depends on the difficulty in this. So the point items, when collected on the highest border, is at 200,000 in the Lunatic difficulty. So far gained some very nice movement. You also get some P items that gives an extra 8 power at this point. So about halfway through. There is a bit of strategy that exists to make a stage 1 consistent on the spawn, but we will not be using there. I don't think it was prepared in advance. So doing a bit of spawn grazing very quickly, getting up to 1000 grays. Ideally, we want to, whenever we are switching phases, get as many bullets as possible to gain more points in this. It's possible to gain about 1 million to 2 million points on the most heaviest pattern that exists, which the number of bullets that are limited at about, I think 800 to 1000. So you have a bit of limitations on how much you can get. As for size plus final spell card, we tried to get two very high grazing points there. I think it was a little bit missed. Okay, might be going for a safer strategy in there. Not going for the ultra grace in there. Yeah, only 16 million. So we just wanted to go for the big cancel at the end. Now for the second stage, we begin with like a small targeted arrow pattern in this with a few random nice bullets in there. Still trying to go as quick as possible to get to the max power item, and absolutely trying not to use any resources whatsoever before the end of this stage. Because in this game, so the power items will give 10 points up until you get to max power, and after max power, you gradually give some more points up until 51,200. And so every time you use a bit of, you lose a life, you will lose 8 power, so you lose about 1 million more for score every time this happens. So trying to graze a little bit that pattern and try to cancel as quickly as possible the last pattern there to get maximum amount of points. We should be able to get max power right around when the boss, second boss, a very well-known boss is started also on par with the season. So now that we get full power mode, when full power is achieved, it can auto-cancels all the bullets that are present on the screen and also auto-collects all the items that are present. Whenever you auto-collect the item, the point item at this point, they will always be at max value. Whereas before, when collecting the point items, due to the absence of a collection barrier in there, there are no sorry, the items, the points is collected on a linear fashion on how the points is augmented. So first pattern, we begin with like another spawn grazing, try to get as much as possible. And this spell card, we just try to get this done quickly as possible because the spawns are getting quicker and quicker every time. So waiting a little bit to get the more bullets spawning on screen to get a little bit higher score in there. And now we go for the grazing of the laser. The laser are a constant stream of bullets. A bullet can only be grazed once, so there's no need to move around the laser. You just have to wait, and this is fully targeted, so it's a bit easier to follow through. You have to be careful not to be too far to the wall, and hoping that Chiono also goes near the center of the screen, near at the end, so that there's more abilities to graze a little more. So now we're doing good. We shouldn't be too much trouble until the very end.
さあ2枚目のスペルカード
3 seconds off, it's cool. So perfect freeze in verve should be the final spell in this. There is also the concept of rank that exists in the game. So we start at about half the max rank at the beginning of the first stage, and throughout the game we achieve max rank, which will add more bullets and more speed to the pattern, and sometimes even change the pattern. So the entire targeting attack that we got in the perfect freeze can be a targeted attack at a deflect leg, for example. We finish off with the Diamond Blizzard, which is a completely random spell, so just trying to finish off this as quickly as possible and getting with the maximum resources achievable so far. There's only 2 extents that can be collected after this, 3 extents. 2 that are in the stages, so the next stage and the stage 5, and 1 that is collected at 60 million, which only 4 extents can be collected by scoring at 10, 20, 40, and 60 million. While the 2 others are fixed. There will also be a couple more bombs that are collected. You can have at most 8 lives and 6 bombs with the normal settings, which is starting at 2 lives. And this is one of the biggest scoring stage within the game. It's possible to gain about 200 million in this. So we'll be going for some tight grazing in there. So he messed up a little bit the pattern, but we also use sometimes we can also use the bomb for safety, just to be sure that we can spawn graze the fairies, because those fairies there are quite durable and have a lot of HP, so they don't die instantly with the spell card that we received, which in this instance will not do damage overall. It will just it is just used there to cancel most of the bullets. Actually no, it does a little damage, but not sufficient to defeat those fairies. So again, trying to get the spawn there. We are doing safety spawns overall compared to the highest stats. Now with mailing, so the first, it is possible to get a big spawn cancel in there, but it's highly dangerous. We're trying to go for a big cancel of the levelings there. Very nice. Now Seraginera 9, which is a pure pattern spell. Just have to remember that there are 2 ways that are communicating with each other. Just a little bit of grazing. As for the spell bonus, it depends on the stage we are on and how much time is left after it is consumed. So there are another grazing there. There's those kunais are fixed in terms of direction they will be attacking. Very good positioning there to collect all the graze possible. We are at 2000, which is pretty honest number for a marathon setting. So 0 to go perhaps at about 3k at this point, or very, very difficult in this.
非常に難易度が高い見どころポイントとなっております。まず通常1ですが、メイリンの頭上が安全地帯と。
So, you're doing now a little placement there just above the head, which is behind the hitbox. We need to be careful about the movement of the boss, but it is possible to do a very risky high grazing spawn on the very first part. After the first one, we are obligated to be off because the movement is a little bit random, and we can get just destroyed by the bullets that spawn after this. So going off early before the movement happens. Oh, very nicely done. This is very risky. Okay. We might be going for another one, yeah. Yeah, being careful there because of the movement. Now, using a bomb in this instance also gives us access to more big cancel there. Nice. Also lost life in the meantime, so we're doing 16 power, but he uses that laser and the extra spawns, so that he's able to cancel a lot of bullets in this. We just heard the pinch for the death, which means that we actually use the death bomb, so you have like a couple of lifelines to use a bomb before actually dying for real, so it's like a death bomb by iframes there.
6体の妖精がメイリンの後ろからクナイを放ってき
Now
ます。
sadly,
こちらのクナイが
meaning is at the lower side, so Gobo decided to not take the power item because you cannot have been able to cancel this. It is possible at this point to just bomb this non-spell so that we can collect a lot more points from grazing, from canceling those all the items that spawn from the bullets. So we should call this a graying because the items that spawn these are
さあ
graying
今
in
に
there.
出しているカード仮想夢かずらになります。
So for reaching 100 million,
が中央付近
this
か
is
ら
one of the most random spells, which is like
最適な撃破タイミング
a
と
star
なって
pattern
おります
that spawns bullets in
この後
random
通常3に
directions.
なりますが、コーマキョスコアタックにおいて非常に重要なテクニックである
To get a bit of scoring, more cancel spawns for scoring there. And this is where we do the big cancel
しか
in
し
this.
ボムの効果時間
So sacrificing is a little right there, and now using the bomb to essentially cancel those outer rings that are spawning in. And now we can see that the scoring goes very high in this. Because in this game, compared to the later games in the series, the grace number is reset. So you have to rebuild all your grace counter each stage if you want to gain some score. And that's why we cannot use a bomb like Izumiko, no, Iwano Minoriko had done in Imperishable Night, because using a bomb on stage 1 would have been completely useless in terms of how much growth your score can have throughout the whole game.
ちょっと撃破が
But we should have
でもいいタイミングですね。
one more spawn, okay, and the final spawn
さあ
this.
最後国際大
Getting a nice little cancel there, 160 million with 120 million invested. Pretty good. Well, a bit below 7,000. It's possible to reach about 8,000 during the in very high score settings.
これでステージ3クリアです。
It is worth noting as well that compared to the Touhou World Cup tournament that happens, we have about 3 times the estimate to be able to score, which means we are allowed to have a little bit of safer strategies, and we can reset as much as we want during that set timer. Compared to this, where we are very limited to how much we can use, and we do have to try to clear as well. So, Stage 4 is quite infamous in the community because one of the sections is extremely difficult to read through. It will usually result in a death of the scoreline or result in different strategies, because this is about where we try to set the strategies for the next 2 stages, especially stage 5, which is the second, maybe the first rewarding in terms of scoring with the stage 3. Now, because of the length that we have, okay, so this is the infamous section. There will most likely be a bomb that will be used in this.
ちょっと危なかったですね。
This is
でもいいボムです。
when we want to do perfect runs of a game that runs usually die. Because there is so much going on, you'll be overwhelmed easily by this.
今画面端に寄っていたのはこの先の難所
Now
の
this set of pinwheels don't do anything, they don't spawn bullets and such. So it's free to get for the scoring in this instance. It's only the second set where you need to be careful. So going a little bit more up to get as close as possible to the books there that spawns the laser, and try to get as much from the kunais as possible with the glazing. With the second set with this that happens. And about the same pattern happens again. Okay, so we're good. And try to get a very nice grace in there. Try to get a couple more from the laser salon. Now these 2 sections, Gobo is using a strategy where he just stays behind the ferry to try to get some very high glazing in there. And once the ferry is defeated, you just cancel through everything possible. Against some 2 sets of pinwheels in this. Try to not to move too much, to be prepared for the next wave that is targeting. And we should have like couple of remaining ways in there, and to be very, very careful with the movement, inching pixel frame by frame towards safety. Now the triple set of those cancelling fairies, very well done, getting some damage on the center one, just to be able to cancel as much as possible, and collecting the final items after defeating the left side of the fairy. Now, Patry is one of those rare bosses nowadays that actually changes her spell cards according to which short types you're using, which was a thing up until like the 11th game. So the non spell will be the same, trying to target and then being careful with the lasers in there. Also trying to get as much as possible during when the lasers will be spawning in on the screen to get as much grays and grey items as possible for scoring. Alright, should be one more and we should be okay for the ad. Okay, doing a little bit before the laser for safety this. So now this spell card you have to be careful. You'll be enclosed in by the laser and just make sure that you dodge the bubble. This is one of the easier cards that is present in this set compared to later on. And Gobo will try to get the laser on screen as much as possible. Sadly, he was too far to the right, so can get as much grey item as possible for the scoring in this. Now the pattern is a little bit different here. There is one circle wave with the pattern that's going on, and even more grace there. So it is important to be able to glaze these all those bullets a bit more easily. 3,000 grace in there, yeah, pretty good. I think we can go at close to 4,000 maybe for like very high scores. I don't have like the numbers in mind. It's watch with we can for record myself to see. So the green storm. So being careful to just watch out on the left and right side. There's not much going on there, just need to cancel that spell as quick as possible. And I get another one of the difficult spell. The hitboxes of the bullets in there are squared. So the inside of the bubble is actually a square, so you don't need to be careful with this. Thankfully, it seems that we are following through a kind of convenient path. Okay, a little bit more difficult in this, almost closing in at the end, but thankfully we got the capture. Mercury, Poison, another tricky spell where you have to be careful of both movements on the left and the right and the two different speeds that are there. Again, we are trying to go to just cancel the spell as much as possible. We don't get the best positioning in this, sadly. We should be better to cancel there. Nice. Got another couple million into this. Alright, now this is the hardest spell that is present due to all the randomness in there, all the spawns of bubbles and all the green that happens. Megalith, yeah, had to safety bomb there. So it'll be one less bomb resource for the next stage. So if there was a death, we would have been at a 4-3 resource pattern, 5-0, 5-1. This sets the how much bombs and lives you can expect to consume in this stage alone to be able to get the max scoring. And this is one of the most highest scoring section of the whole game, mostly because very early on we are able to get a lot of grace for the stage. Right, very careful, being very careful there. It's possible to just stay above and do nothing and just completely dodge everything, but you also miss out on a lot of point items. But with a marathon setting, it's a little bit dangerous to do, so better to just stay about safety. So this where we use a life, usually, we can collect a lot of grace from that fairy there, with the power items to glaze and collect it. Now Sakuya, the mid-boss stage, is where we can gain about 2000 grace on the best occasion. The first time she will use her attack, she will be moving, but once in half the time she will not move, so it's possible to gain a lot of grace. We already have double the amount of grace that we had from the beginning so far. should be able to get about 4,000. Now, timing out this spell will also result on not having the spell card going around, and also cancel out a bunch of the spell that could be spawning afterwards. So because we have not timed out type of the spell, we also gain access to this spell card there, which can be used to gain some extra grace in this. But we have a few less spells that will be spawning in later on in the stage, because most of the time the stages are tied to the music. So in some games it is possible by timing out specific sections of the spell or waiting that we can just cancel out a few dangerous sections, which is used sometimes in game perfect survival.
そしてステージ5のボス昨夜になります。
Now, what's the most valuable thing that can be granted in this stage are coming from the spell cards alone. So because we have 5-0, he can take away a life, and we'll be using that those iframes to be able to cancel most of the bullets from that nice spawn in this.
1ボムで大きくスコアが伸びるのが分かると思います。
So you're trying to go around, cancel as much as possible to gain some more scores. The non-spells like this are a bit less dangerous than the spell card alone, because there is a bit less randomness to this. It is a high risk, high reward kind of category, because as you are sacrificing your lives away, you will have less resources to survive through the end, and thus have a possibility to not get the final bonus going on. So first we're doing a little bit of we're doing a little aiming, trying to get the RFE knives to aim as high as possible early on. And now we want Sakuya to be near the center of the screen, so that we can cancel as much as possible from this. She have one more spawn in this, hopefully she is a bit cooperative. That's about okay. Got a nice 2 million cancel, it seems. Getting another 5 million cancel from those knives. That's pretty well done. So 400 million in this. We can say we achieve about 500 million by the end of this. Now, second spell is a bit more dangerous because of the nature of how we get random nice spawns after this at the end. I think he may try to just suicide in there. We'll see. He also has no bombs, so we'll see. Unless he suicides on the boss directly, that depends on his choice. Get some good cancel in there. Right, and then before the last spell card, let's make sure he gets the best cancels possible in this. The left hitboxes in this game are also quite big, and it's deceptively big. One more thing that is also remnant of the PC19 games is that we don't get an extra, we don't get to see the hitbox of the character. But because he sacrificed life, he's able to use his bombs to get as much core as possible. So, looking at the timer, he'll be at least using another life to gain more iframes for grazing. And he will try, I think, to conserve 2 lives at least by the end of this. You're quite gonna get the best cancel in there, which is on very high positioning, so he's about losing half of the nice pound in this. This way we are done. We're on par for like a $500 million at the very least, so it's pretty cool. Got like a $17 million. It is possible to get 600 million, but you really need a very good stage 6 to end this one. So first trying to get through the random all spawns in there, trying to get as many items as possible from the center of the screen, since both spawns are on the side. We got the full power to cancel a lot of the spawns there. Next we need to be careful of the fairies that are spawning on the side. They are spawning targeted lives. So it's a bit easier to dodge through this. Alright. Nice wave through to correct the wave. Now Sakai will be using a spell card that will force us to make good use of a bomb. It is possible to get a nice placement in order to cancel through everything, so let's see if we get it. Alright, it's good. So now with this spell, we will be getting about 1000 grace in order to collect some more scores in the end that you can cancel as latest as possible. Ideally, we want to see like something like 600,000 or 500,000 by the end. Alright, that's a good time over. So onto the final boss, we have 2-2, knowing that the last two spell cards are the most difficult captures in the game. I'm not sure if we will see some high spawn grazing of the Thunder. We'll see. It is possible to spin the Thunder. First, we'll be going off and defeating the first non-spell. We want to try to have Lemina as close to the center as possible, but in this case, I think Gobo will take the safety and get the cancel out in a different way. Now trying to see where the highest the widest safe spots are to show to survive through waves. Now this pattern we can use the spawn there to get a couple grays there. Not quite as much as what we had earlier, but we know it's like pretty very safe. So now there are two aimed, and then we go back to the waves that are spawning from side to side. So beating one more time, and then on the second targeted we'll be cancelling all the bullets. Pretty well done. Now with demarcation, it's on a different difficulty. We just try to go and capture the spell card as best as possible. Ideally again having Revelia near the center to cancel as much bullets as possible. Got some nice bottom minion, it seems. So this will be possible to spin, but it's quite dangerous because you have to be in the right position and be about in like a 45-degree angle or something. Now, the pattern is fixed, like the easiest pattern. You can just stay in the same spot under her and she will never hit this. We kind of want her to be in the center, please. Can you move back? We should be there. Let's get the last wave. And then when the red wave spawn, trying to cancel. Nice. Alright. So now the vampire illusion, I believe. Alright, so we got the bad wave there. So the direction where the bullets are going is kind of random, but we know that we can get walled off very easily. Thankfully, the spell never directly targets us all the run. This was very well done. Now, final non-spell in this, there are three different kind of waves. With the random rise pattern, then we have a targeted bullet pattern, a bubble pattern to dodge, and then we have the same with a fire but a bit slower. So it's possible to get a little bit higher, but we need to be careful because Lemina does have an erratic movement through this. So ideally we want to cancel the rise pattern to get the best cancels as possible. And now Scarlet Meister, which is the very scary spell, like the most scariest spell that exists in this, that even the survivalists just want to dodge through. And due to how the scoring was done, I believe he will try to cancel as much as possible these bullet patterns in the final spell. So it might be possible to get to 600 million if he decides to get some bullet cancel in there. It's possible that he decides not to and just he gets content with the final score with we are about halfway through so far of the on this. Okay. And so Aochi, who is also commentating by the side of Kobo, is one of the commentators during the Touhou World Cup tournament, I believe, on the Japanese side. I did not quite do the check on this. Okay. Yikes. But at the end, we lost the cancel, so that's quite unfortunate.
画面をちょっと一旦閉じていただけますでしょうか。
Very, very unfortunate. No, I think he did a little mistake because usually we don't want to show the ending screen. So he did. I think he just forget to pause in there, which is a little bit sad.
すいません
Okay.
ありがとうございます。
Now, usually we would have like an ending blocker on our end, but because it's RTA in Japan, it's much easier for them to just hide the screen layout. But yeah, 587 million, which I think could have been like 590, 592 if we had the cancel and the spell card capture at the very end there. But yeah, 600 million could have been highly possible. Gobo decided to use a lot of safety strategies.
思いますが、全体通してみるとものすごく完成度の高いプレー
So I
だっ
don't
た
know
ので
if he prepared like a special replay
はい。
table in there.
お疲れのところだと思いますが、
yeah.
完走した感想の方お伺いしてもよろしいでしょうか。
One of the very first Windows game that is has still lots of influence to this day. As one of them, if not the most known game so far compared to all. Even the first trilogy of game with Perfect Cherry Blossom and Imperishable Night. So it's just missing like Perfect Cherry Blossom to be shown at the RTA Japan to have like the trifecta of the first set of 3 games that sparkled the interest, not just in Japan but internationally about the series overall. Yes. This was the Embodiment of Scarlet Devil by Zune and Team Shanghai List. Quite an interesting and difficult game compared to
素晴らしいプレーでした。
most of the games. A couple came out a bit easier and more difficult later on, and we had the release of the 28th game of the series this summer in 2025 FS, Sposil's Wonders. Most of the games are present on Steam. Unfortunately, the 3 first games are not available. At least online, maybe it's possible to get copies of CDs offline if they are still made to this day. I think it should still be the case. But yeah, nowadays most of the games from 9 onwards are available on Steam if anyone is interested in the series, as well as many fan games, which I played kind of a lot. I also like to come back sometimes to the main series, but mostly with Phantasmagoria Flower, which is the 9th iteration of the series, which I actually played the most this year, according to Discord, so hey, I still play a lot of the main game and not just fan game.
数ある東宝作品のスコアタックの中でもこのゲームのスコアタッ
I
ク
really have it. Thank you all for watching. After we'll see you next time. Thank you, Gobo. This was a very nice run to do.
そしてクリアを達成されてさらに 5.87 億。
Thank you for commentating. I see RJ Gobo, RJ 2025 Winter. Thank you everyone for watching. I love Touhou. See you next time in the names. I'll always love to see those names doing these things. But yeah, thank you Pigeon for commentating. That was Touhou Koumakyou, the embodiment of Scarlet Devil. Do you have any shout outs and where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, well, Koumakyou for being the Western player who was able to get at least once the world record on this category and the short type that Gobo had. Kana, one of the more consistent player of the category as well, and score player of the Western community as well. And of course the Touhou World Cup and all the people that are behind the scenes to make sure that these events happen every year and with the best people in the world and to entertain all the communities each summer for us.
はい、ありがとうございました。本当にお疲れ様でした。はい、というわけで皆様ここまでお付き合いいただきありがとうございました。次の RTA はパンチアウトの目隠し RTA.
And yeah, looks like they're heading into their ending as well. Once again, this was Touhou Koumakyou, the embodiment of Scarlet Devil. Pigeon, thank you for commentating. Coming up next is Punch Out on the Wii, and that is going to be a all fights blindfolded run. You do not want to miss that. It's an hour and a half, but all hour and a half of that is going to be action on action on action. That's going to be coming up next. We're going to head into a little bit of prep of that. So hang on tight, maybe go get some water, and we'll be right back.
We also have a little bit of an incentive with the Donkey Kong character to be able to be fought if the incentive is met. We are halfway done so far.